of the homework, and then we'll get on to React. They're saying that because they know that means you start talking. All right, make move down work if you haven't already. So we've already got a button. It's already got an appropriate class on it. We just need to implement the actual, this is not the right thing. This is. All right. So we already have move up. I bet we don't have to change a whole lot to turn this into move down. Okay, so move down. We're still going to have to grab the button and the LI. We're still going to need to find the index of the current item. Now, if index is greater than 0, because 0 means it's the very first one, right? And if that's the case, we can't move up. So this time, we're going to need to check that it is not the very last one. So index needs to be less than what? This dot students dot length minus 1. All right. So we're going to need to insert before again. This time we could do this one of a couple ways. We could insert the LI before two siblings forward, basically. Next sibling dot next sibling. Personally, I kind of prefer to insert the next sibling before the current LI. We don't have to traverse as far. Make sense? Instead of moving the one we're moving, we move the one after it up a spot. Okay, now it's not the previous student we need to worry about. Now it's the next student, which would be index plus 1. So this student's index plus 1 should now be the current student. And at the current index, we need the next student. Make sense? Not very different. Now we need to set up an event listener for that. Move down, receives the same arguments. Check it out, refresh. There she goes. There he goes. Down, down, down to the bottom. And he doesn't move any further. Now we should add similar CSS to the move down button in the last row that we did with the move up button in the first row. So here that is. When the student was the first child, within that element, we look for a descendant that is a button with a class of move up, and we do this to it. So similarly, we'll look for a button with a class of move down that is a descendant of something with a class of student that is the last child of its parent. Not working. It's not gray yet. Who knows why? Yep. We've got that template that's actually in the HTML, right? So we've been inserting before it every time. So it's the very last one. So what I'm going to do, and you could solve this any number of ways, but I'm just going to move this outside the UL. It doesn't particularly need to be there. It's not doing anything. It's not even showing up. In fact, we can just move it clear out of all the divs. With that template class, it's not even going to be shown, right? All we're ever going to do with it is clone it. So we could just move it somewhere else. And now it's not a child anymore. Refresh the page, and we get our style. The bottom one now will always be grayed out. Makes sense? So again, what that rule means is a button with a class of move down that is a descendant of an element with a class of student that is the last child of its parent. It's not the button that's the last child, right? It's the LI. But it's not the LI that we're targeting, it's the button. So we use the descendant selector, which is simply a space between two selectors. We know that means direct child, which would not work because we also have the actions element, right? With a class of actions. So that wouldn't work. But space would work because that means a descendant at any level. There could be elements in between. So that seems good. Implement move down. Oh, and if you didn't notice, shortly after class ended on Friday, I pushed up the CSS to make the names not run over. I did do that. So you can look at that at your leisure. Don't forget, you can always go out to GitHub and look at the commits. Fix student name overflow. Okay, here's only what I changed. I just changed this one CSS rule. I took the span out, not because I really needed to, but just because I didn't need to have it there. And added a few more rules, mostly the rules that we had tried in class anyway. The important thing was that I floated this thing to the left. Inline elements can't really have their width set. It's not going to do anything. So by floating it, it makes it sort of like a block element, and width works.